What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, y'all. So today we are going to talk Walmart Spark. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Spark has really become my go-to when it comes to doing on-demand deliveries. They have a few different order types, and you can make yourself a decent amount of money if you play your cards right. So today I kind of wanted to go and discuss the different types of offers that you can receive on Spark and discuss which ones can make you the most amount of money. Now, Spark does have a couple of other different stores that are available on the platform, but for the purposes of this video, we're gonna stick to the Walmart orders themselves. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, there are three primary order types that are on the Walmart Spark app. You have your standard curbside pickup orders, you have your shop and deliver orders, and then you have the routes or the multi-stop orders. So each of these orders require different levels of effort, and of course, they do pay differently. So let's go ahead and start with the standard curbside pickup orders. Now, these curbside pickup orders, these are most definitely the easiest orders that you can do on this app. The only thing you have to do is just pull up to a parking space, mark that you've arrived, select which parking space you've parked in, and a store associate is gonna come out with the items and load up your car. Simple, right? Now, the number of customers you have for a single order can vary. Sometimes you just have one, sometimes you might have 2 or 3. Now, if you're lucky, it's usually a quick in and out, maybe a 5 to 10 minute wait to get the items loaded into your car, and you go do your drop off. If it's a single order and it's close by, it might take you 15 minutes. If you have multiple customers or just a longer drive in general, it might take you closer to 30, 45 minutes, maybe longer. Now, some of the pros of the curbside orders is, well, like I said, these can be super quick. It's low effort, and these orders are stackable with other apps. But I would say do your Spark order first because there is a set time frame where you are expected to complete that delivery. Now, some of the cons are that the pay can range kind of drastically. You might see an order that's only paying like $7 or $8. I think that's the lowest I've personally seen. But you could go and get some pretty good orders that pay up to $20, $30, $40, even more if that customer tipped pretty well. And the other downside to that as well is, unfortunately, some people might tip bait. And one of the main issues, which I'm pretty sure every Spark driver has experienced, sometimes you have to wait an extremely long time for the store associates to come out with your order. So depending on the flow of the store, how things are going, if they're backed up, then you're gonna be backed up and you're gonna be at the mercy of waiting for them to come out. Now, you can get wait pay, but the app isn't very transparent on what that wait pay entails as far as how much you get for every minute, every 10 minutes, whatever it may be. I've gotten wait pay as low as like $2 and some change, and I've gotten some as high as $15. So there's really, like I said, nothing that's set in stone that lists how much you're gonna get paid. So if you do decide to go and wait for them to go ahead and come out, you are taking that risk of getting you don't know what for your wait pay. But even with that being said, curbside orders are still a pretty viable option if you want to go ahead and make yourself some fast money. That is, of course, best case scenario, the store is running smoothly. If you're able to go ahead and snag a couple of $20, $30 orders, I would say that that's some pretty decent money if you can do that in about, let's just say, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now, let's talk about shop and deliver orders. Instead of waiting for the store associates, you yourself go into the store and do the shopping. Most of the time you would be shopping for a single customer, but they did recently introduce the ability to shop for 2. So if you're shopping for 2, you just have to make sure you have those orders separated. Now, some of the pros of shop and deliver. Since you have to do the shopping, your pay is usually going to be higher than the curbside pickup orders. Also, since you don't have to wait for the store associates, you essentially control the speed of this order. So however fast you go ahead and shop that order means however fast you can get done with it and get it delivered. But at the same time, this can also be considered a con because shopping can be time consuming. And that's mainly if you're dealing with a very large order, or the items might be out of stock, or you're unable to find them. It can sometimes just take up a lot of your time. And let's not forget, especially around the holiday season, man, those stores can get a bit chaotic. Now, for my Walmarts, there is a designated line for the Spark drivers. So I don't have to wait in line unless there's another Spark driver that's ahead of me. But if your Walmart doesn't have that, well, you gotta go ahead and wait for the lines to go ahead and clear up if it's super busy. And again, just to reiterate, sometimes these large orders may not be worth it if you're shopping in comparison to doing a curbside order. For instance, I typically avoid doing orders with multiple cases of water. I would be more likely to do an order that's a curbside pickup that has maybe 2 or 3 cases of water and is going to a house, not an apartment, versus doing the shop and getting those 2 or 3 cases of water. You know, it's more work. I got to go ahead and lug it around depending on the order. You know, there's more stuff that's involved with it. So it may not be as worth it in my eyes, in my opinion. If you go ahead and offer me a $35 shop and that customer ordered like close to 60 items, 3 cases of 40 count water, you know, I'm probably going to look at that like, nah, I'm good. Now, if it was curbside, I might be more willing to take it because, like I said, there's less work involved. But it just depends, you know, it kind of gotta weigh out your options, right? Now, from what I've noticed, the shop and deliver orders are typically popping off a lot more when there aren't as many curbside orders. And that might just be because they don't have enough associates to do the shopping themselves. They can be more profitable, but like I said, just be careful with those large orders. If you're lucky, you might be able to snag a single item or a 2-item order and it's paying you 15 to 20 bucks. Those are the best. So definitely keep an eye out for those. And last but not least, we have the routed orders. So these orders are gonna typically be roughly around 15 to 20 stops, sometimes more, sometimes less. And depending on how many stops you have, it could take you anywhere from an hour up to 3 hours. Most customers are gonna have a single item, but you might have a couple that might have 2, 3, maybe more items in that stop. So kind of think of it like Amazon. If you've done Amazon Flex, you're gonna have those envelopes, you might have the plastic bags, you might have an item that's too big to be boxed. So like maybe a small TV, vacuum cleaner, stuff like that. But it's basically a package delivery route. Now let's talk about some of the pros. Well, the best thing about these is that it's guaranteed pay. Whatever is being offered on your screen, that is what you're gonna get paid. The only time your payout is gonna change is if there is a stop removed. Just recently, my last Spark delivery I did, I had an offer. It was $71 initially. I had 1 stop removed and it only took $1 off of my total payout. So technically I drove a little bit less to make $1 less. You know, it was still worth it for me. These orders, I've seen some smaller routes start at like 30, 35 bucks, go all the way up to about $80, $90. It all just depends on the size of that route. Now, when you're picking these up, you're doing the same thing as if you were doing a standard curbside pickup. But the best thing about these is since these are technically packages, you know, they usually have these already ready to go most of the time, not all the time. So unless they're just super backed up in general, you usually won't have much of a wait time to go ahead and get all of your orders loaded up. Now, some of the cons of these orders, well, since this is a route, there's gonna be a lot of driving. Personally, I feel like they can route some of these better. In my last delivery, it just felt like I was on the road longer than I really needed to be. What technically should have taken me maybe less than 2 hours, I ended up finishing that route just over 2.5 hours. So yeah, I feel like they could do the routing better. I have seen some routes where you have a cluster where a majority of your deliveries are going to be in this particular area, and then they might have 2 or 3 that's just off by like 15 miles. So that routing, like, you can just completely eliminate those deliveries off of that route and like batch them with somebody else. Obviously, we know that that's Walmart trying to get as much out of you, but yeah, sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. So I will say that these are going to be best for those who want that steady, consistent income, especially during the slow periods of Spark and any of your other apps in general, because it's guaranteed money and you know what you're going to be doing during that time frame, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, however long. You have that commitment to that route. And like I said, you know what you're going to be getting as far as pay. So with that being said, which type of order will be the best one to make you the most amount of money? Well, it all kind of depends. It depends on your market. It depends on your goals, what you have in mind for the day. There's a few different factors. As far as the best hourly earnings, I would say the curbside pickups and the shop and deliver, it's kind of tied there. You could potentially knock out 2 or 3 of those orders in the same amount of time that it would have taken you to do one of those longer routes. And you can potentially make a better hourly rate doing those individual orders. Now, higher pay per order, you're probably going to lean more towards those shop and deliver orders, because since you're doing more work, that pay that they're going to be offering is going to be way more every single time. But don't worry, the routed deliveries can still be good for you, especially if it's a very slow period. It's guaranteed money. You won't be sitting around waiting for something to come and hit your phone. You know what you're going to be making, and you know where you're going to be going as well. So it's technically less stressful and it's predictable as far as the pay, because you already know what you're going to be getting up front. There's no chance of you getting tip baited if you were offered a $40 curbside pickup and then in the end you only ended up getting paid $15. If they offered you $75 for this route, as long as no stops were taken before you went ahead and picked up everything, you're gonna go ahead and get that $75 every single time. So again, it's really just up to whatever your goals are for that day, what you have going on in that market, and your preference, to be honest. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for this video. I hope that this breakdown was helpful to someone in deciding which orders you should focus on when doing Walmart Spark. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. It just kind of depends on your preference, what your goals are, all of that fun stuff. But if you guys have your own preferences on what orders you like to aim for when doing Walmart Spark, I would love to know and know your thoughts, so just let me know in the comments below. Now, before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one, and as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.